The restaurants you love, the food you crave, and the people that make it all happen. We tell their stories on the Paper Trails podcast with Albemarle Paper Supply.
Smack us right in the face. It's like, all right, so how do we open this restaurant again?
Yeah, again. And so I feel like we've opened this restaurant like 4 or 5 times now in different iterations. And
it's like evolution, but I think it's what a lot of restaurants fail in doing is they don't evolve with the times. They don't listen to their patrons. Like you can't be a chef for the chefs. You got to be a chef for the people.
I love that.
They're paying your bills.
Yeah.
They're the ones coming in here. Yeah. They're the ones that want a service from you. So if you're not touching tables, I touch tables to ask them, hey man, how was it? But being open, you can watch everybody take a bite, be like, all right, they don't like that shit, or man, they love that. So, but seeing what people want, asking, hey, what do you want to see on the fall menu? You know, oh, remember when you did this? Yeah, okay, cool. And then, but note that, and then go to, oh, I saw this on Food Network and blah blah, whatever it is. But listening to them and then giving them what they want. Because when we opened, we were night and day different than what we are now. We were trying too many. I mean, we had plates with too many touches, and we were doing things. We're like, we can't do this. This is just not us. This is not.
I like what you said about being a chef instead of a chef for chefs, being a chef for the people.
That's from you. You always say that. So I stole it from you.
Well, I mean, again, like I've worked with plenty of chefs that were chefs for other chefs, and definitely you're, you don't care.
No,
he doesn't even make his staff call him chef.
No,
some do. The ones that are, the kids that come in, they're like, we chef. Like,
that's fine.
He lets them do it, but
whatever. I don't demand it. I mean, I'm a cook just like the rest of them. If I got to wash dishes, I'm washing dishes. I was washing dishes last week. I don't
Unpopular opinion, though. I think it's also important to make sure that, you're not running your business for the local farmers. I think that using local products and
local where possible, local where it's necessary or it makes sense.
Sure. I've seen restaurants go under because they can't make any money because they're doing 100% local, and food cost is like 40-50% because you can't possibly fathom charging somebody a 30% food cost for everything that's coming in local.
We just removed an item. It's one of our number one selling item at the restaurant. Calamari, number one selling. We slay it. And just it got to the point we had to charge $25, $26 for an appetizer for calamari because the pricing. We're like, I'm not doing that. It's just like I can't.
The business has to be profitable.
I couldn't feel right sitting at home being like, I got this guy for $26 for some calamari. It's like can't do it.
Yeah, I just a lot of us in this industry want the glory or whatever that you see on Food Network or even Chef's Table is a great example. Like every single one of those is like it's the chefs like walking through the fields and tasting the green beans. Oh, let's eat that right now. What does that taste like?
Everybody can't be Noma.
Yeah, I'm searching through all these local and Noma. Great example.
Noma is Noma. Let Noma be Noma.
Yeah, and I think that has its place, and I definitely think that your vendors, Thomas Keller always talks about how his vendors, that's how he is able to make great food. It's because when he does lobster, he's got a guy in Maine that gives him the best lobster that he could possibly get his hands on. And I've seen Greg with our vendors, and he has a really intense long-term relationship with every single one of them. And I think that's what really matters. Not the little anecdote in your interview or on the menu that this is from this farm and this is from this farm, and it's like most people don't give a shit at all. They're like, hey,
we do it when it matters.
Good?
Like a tomato. Tomatoes in season, put a good fucking tomato on a sandwich. That's when it's worth it. But do I think North Carolina beef is better than Midwest?
Yeah, no. I think there's a nice balance. It's like anything. It's like a cocktail. Seasoning on a plate. You have to. It's about the plate. It's about the cocktail. It's about the restaurant. And it's like, how can you balance locally sourcing with also remaining profitable? Because it's so cool right now to only I only get Hickory Nut Gap. Which
it's good. It's great.
But I'm just saying things.
But can the average Joe discern a difference between Hickory Nut Gap and a really nice brined, taken care of, cooked
I
properly, seasoned properly Smithfield pork?
I I think it should be fashionable to have a successful business.
Sure. I mean, listen, if you don't have a profitable business and you're not here long term, you can't employ anybody. You're not serving anybody. Like,
you're not winning anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's dig in on some of the reasons why I think we're successful here.
Okay.
Number one, we all sit down every period, and that's the owners, our accountant, all the heads of department, and we have a coming to Jesus P&L meeting.
4 hours.
And it's a massive.
How often is this?
Right here.
Every period.
Every 4 weeks. Big, massive table.
Yeah, and we've got the. I mean, obviously the printouts are much larger than they used to be because we used to.
We're all getting older.
Well, I mean, we can have 10 periods on a a printout. And we look at the entire year and how we're flowing, costing trends, profitability across the board. Where how can we? Is our EBITDA where it needs to be?
Now, you guys always did this?
Since day one here.
Yeah.
And it's something that I remember.
That's something that Gary brought. I mean, how did that even? That's something that Chapel Hill does. How did this?
So
happen?
we have an accounting management company called Red Mountain, and I want to say they were responsible for Lone Star and all of Dennis Thompson's.
Yeah, Dennis Thompson.
Concepts.
Most of his stuff.
They run Viva Chicken.
Bad Daddies. Lots of stuff.
Big names.
Firebirds.
And I think that's how they were successful, is by saying like, okay, like it's no shade, but
we're going to talk about the numbers.
38%.
Why?
And then here's the breakdown of food costs.
Every item
across the last 10 periods or whatever. Let's figure out why. Let's figure it out as a team.
Actually reflect.
Yeah, and it's honestly it's one of the most healthy things that you could possibly do for your business. I remember I was the GM at a place right before this, and I didn't know anything. I was bonused on costs and percentages. I had a mock P&L that I would GL code all the invoices and then put them into this mock P&L spreadsheet. And I'm not an accountant, and I didn't really have the tools to make that the exact P&L, and then I never got to compare it to an actual P&L. And so we just kind of rolled, hoping that things were good, I guess. And here it's like,
unfortunately, I think a lot of businesses operate that way because they just they're undereducated. They don't know
exactly,
and they think they're doing fine because it's like, oh, I got some money in the bank, and then all of a sudden something happens. They're like, whoa.
Listen, there's no school for business ownership.
Yeah.
People
just want to do it.
Teach a degree, but no one's teaching you how to look through P&Ls.
Yeah,
who is, right? I mean, maybe if you're an accounting major, but if you're in the food business and you learn by just putting the bootstraps on and just catering, side jobs, gigs, bar back, bar training. I mean, no one's teaching this stuff. Bro, I love that.
Yeah, I won't ever do anything where we don't do that.
I'm sure you learned a ton from that.
Oh yeah, I mean, and then on top of that,
our accountant is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be tight. The books have to be tight. Otherwise, this industry, there's such little headroom for profitability, anyways. That you could be, again, sourcing too much stuff locally, and your food cost is 45%.
We ran into that. We at the beginning we tried. That's what we wanted to do, or what the vision, somebody's other vision, for what they wanted me to do.
Yeah.
It got to the point I was like, look, we can drop costs. We just got to make smart decisions on what's going to be local and what's not. I mean, if it's not worth it, there's no point.
Do we get in frozen calamari? Do we get it, shipped every 2 days from fresh?
Yeah, from Spain. It's like, does anybody know the difference?
No, you can't tell the difference.
Can't tell. So,
and so definitely the P&L I think was a huge thing. Training is the other side of it. As managers, I've worked at a lot of places where, you come into work one day and the manager needed a warm body, and here's Joe Schmo. You're going to be working with him for the next 8 months. He's a complete psycho. Have fun, and the managers don't care, for us here, training and curating our staff is extremely important.
I love that.
We do something here that I'm really proud of. So basically, the way I explain it is the managers, we set up the interview, and if the interview goes great, we set up the stage. The stage, you come in, you work in a shift, half on the floor, half behind the bar. And the staff Caesars you.
Pirate ship.
So we set up the stage, the manager set up the stage, the staff hires you.
What?
Because of that. I had so many bad experiences where like, I'm like, God, I could have told you that this person wasn't going to work out if you just would have let me. And so we let these, and we trust our, these professionals to look at someone and be like, yeah, dude, this person's going to jive. We're going to spend more time with each other than we are with our own families.
Yeah.
We can sniff out if somebody's a bullshitter.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many bar managers have had come in that can't even stir a
That
drink.
hype their interview. Just,
Yeah, like,
oh man, I
great on paper.
And they get back there and it's like,
Yeah. That's like, I can't cut an onion.
it's like, oh, well,
you know.
Yeah, what are you doing right there?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
So the stage, I think, is huge, and it's something that they do in a lot of bigger cities, and it's a working interview,
I love that.
and that's super huge for us. Behind the bar, every staff member in the front of house has to complete Bar Smarts, which is an online training program. It's super comprehensive. It was put together by Dale DeGroff, Dave Wondrich, and all these incredible top minds in the craft cocktail world. It's like a $5,000-$6,000 5-day. It's called Bar 5, and Gary actually did Bar 5 back in 2008. Some of his classmates are like some of the Jim Meehan and all these like big names, which is, I think, he rose up with that class, But Pernod Ricard went to them and was like, hey, we love this Bar 5 idea. Can we condense it into an online thing for the vast public? And I think it cost like $30 or $40.
Yeah.
And when I did it in 2016 or 17, I was like, this is everything that I ever wanted to know about bartending that nobody taught me, because bartending for me was like
vodka soda.
Well, that, and you volunteer to work at lunch. And then it's like, oh, Ryan's comfortable back there. Like, maybe let's give him a Thursday night or whatever. And I feel like most people, it's just like, here it is, figure it out.
Yeah.
Good luck. This is the majority of it is talking to guests or whatever. But the history of the American bartender, the history of spirits and kind of in-depth knowledge of spirits. To me, it starts with training. It's like finding good people, letting your staff decide if they're worth keeping in your work family.
Yeah.
And then once they're here, I feel like the management should take on a debt with their staff and repay it with education. We're getting your time. Sure, we're paying you. You're making tips. You're providing a safe place and a livelihood for people. But they need to be constantly educated. So I get my staff, entire front of house staff, every 2 weeks. I get them for 2 hours. We feed them. They clock in for training, and we have in-depth presentations on various spirits. Sometimes they'll do tastings in front of everyone. We'll bring in brand reps to come and talk about their brands. Obviously, we have a boatload on the back wall that it's kind of daunting. But there's no way that we could possibly cram everything they need to know about this place into 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I just feel like one of the great powers that we have as managers is to say I'll take you from A, all the way to Z.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to be on this train, I'll find someone else. And if you can say that and say I will constantly be willing to train, then you will always have great people. And there's something that I love that we get on reviews all the time. It's like, oh, what a knowledgeable staff, great staff, great staff.
Huge example, Marissa the other night.
Yeah, I mean, she came in here, one of my proudest moments ever. I interviewed her. She was like, I'm a server at this wine bar. I don't have any bartending experience, but I'm a hard worker. And it's just like I could tell she just had that natural empathy.
Yeah.
And here we are. I don't know, a year and a half later. We hired her right before COVID, so a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then also the big chunk of COVID. So I mean, let's say
About a year.
Yeah. And my girl's back there, double shaking,
Double stirring,
shaking. She could do bourbon tastings. Like, she schooled these guys. That we're like, oh my, kind of.
Where's that guy that's been doing it? And it's like, oh, she's right here.
Yeah, she's gonna be doing your bourbon tasting, and you could tell that they were a little like, oh, you're gonna,
Slay the
and then by
dragons.
the end, the guy's like, I can't believe how much I learned today. Like, I feel like I'm a bourbon guy, but
Wow.
So she's just an incredible example of
That's awesome.
of what can happen from great training. And you obviously can't, you got to hire good people that want to drink, that aren't thirsty, you know what I mean? And So when I'm in an interview and I have somebody that says like, I just feel stagnant at my job, like I feel like I'm just treading water, I'm not learning, I'm not growing. I'm like, dude, you could be here for 5 years and keep growing because there's so much to learn. You get burnt out on bourbon, it's like, cool, switch to Amaro. Get burnt out on Amaro, like we got tons of scotch. Like, I mean, every major category, after dinner fortified wine, like the wine program itself. So it's to me, like, again, like your greatest power is your ability to train, because you'll be able to protect your business. Like currently we don't own this business, but if you were an owner per se, if you could train yourself up to be able to train everyone underneath you, then you're going to be great, because you're no longer at
in anything.
Yeah, you're not at the mercy of your management team. I worked. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but like I've had owners before that literally hire some managers and then they just disappear into the ether. You know what I mean? And it's like, this guy sucks. Like he's keeping your business open, but it's not thriving.
Barely.
And I think that Gary Crunkleton is really great about kind of inspiring all of us to thrive. That's a term we use a lot around here. It's not just
succeeding,
not just succeeding, or not even just like, I forget the percentages, but most restaurants fail, and then like
15. It's like 80% fail, 20% survive, 15 or 5% like thrive.
Yeah, he's like, we want to be that top 5% that actually thrive, and not just here, but also in our personal lives. So Gary talks about being top line driven. We pay the front of house staff $5 an hour. This is twice what the minimum wage is for front of house employees. To me, the worst part about serving tables and bartending was always that IRS bill. You get to the end of the year and you worked really hard, and all of a sudden you owe 3 weeks worth of income to the government. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like heartbreaking. So that $5 an hour at 40 hours a week is almost $6,500. So our employees in the front of house usually get a refund. We do health insurance for people in the front of house. We have mental health programs. It's just the constant training. Like, we're really making sure that they're taken care of, and they feel like, why would I want to go anywhere else?
Yeah.
Like if somebody was to try and come and poach someone, they're like, wow, I have like managers that listen to me. I'm heard. We'll sit down, and it's not an easy thing to do, but we'll sit down with our entire staff during one of those trainings and be like, we're going to go around the room. Everyone give us 1 to 2 things that you're not proud of here. And as a manager and being the person in charge, that is a tough conversation, man.
Yeah.
I once did it by myself. I didn't have my backup, my GM and my AGM with me, and I would highly suggest to have some backup with you, just to share the load, because I felt like crap the rest of the day. But I wrote everything down, sent it out in an email, and our promise to the staff is that we will fix every single one of those things within a week, and we do every time. And that really is something that allows us to continue to grow and excel, because there is so much to look at and manage as a restaurant. So having the boots on the ground, be like, hey man, I'm really not proud about how we store our liquor. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'll buy some new shelving. We'll get it right. And then after that, it's like, I helped and contributed, not me, but the employee that told me.
Yeah.
And then every day they look at it and they're filled with pride because they helped solve this problem. They're publicly recognized for solving that problem, And then there's a respect transfer where, like, I helped them not only achieve that, but I heard them and I took care of this issue for them.
Nice.
And so, every moment's a chance to gain or lose respect with your staff. And it being a great manager, I think, is less about delegation and telling people to do things and more about managing their expectations of you. There's a Instagram meme. It's like, a good leader, and it's like a bunch of Egyptians, and he's out front holding them, and then it's like a bad leader, and it's the guy sitting on top of them all. And
throne, yeah.
There was a manager at the Charlotte City Club. I can't remember his name, but I remember he replaced one of the hardest working banquet directors we'd ever had. Shout out Joan, wherever you're at.
Yeah.
And nobody knew how he was going to possibly fill her shoes. And I remember the first couple months that this guy was with us, like, he did everything. won us over. I remember just being like, God, I respect the shit out of this guy. Like, he's in the trenches taking grenades with me. I'm just a back waiter, you know. And he eventually kind of pulled off the
a little bit.
But I mean, without that initial, like, I mean, I'm with you guys. You know, I'm not above doing anything. You know, you know, my spirits director Hunter routinely will go into the back of house and grab the linens and take it or
Bust
grab
sides, throw a couple racks of
I mean, and you know, it's not necessarily like you're being fake or whatever, but when you do things like that and you do it in front of your staff and you know, it's like William Wallace, and he's like, you know, flank them, you know, let them see you leave. You have to let them see you doing these things that you know, might be beneath your your title or whatever. Yeah, I just think it's so important, especially with newer staff members, you know, really over leveraging.
You always need current credibility with everybody. So let's talk about the cheesesteaks. How do we get into this? Is something you guys always thought about, like, you know? So, you know, tell everybody that doesn't know, what is a little side project, little venture that we're working on? Yeah, so
Cheesesteak Parlor kind of started during COVID. Greg and I spent, and we still do, like hours on the phone, like kind of late at night. He'll buzz me, you know, our significant others, you know, usually crash first, and then he'll call me like, you up?
Yeah, you awake?
But
an idea.
Yeah. Well, it's usually, you know, we're both, you know, nocturnal animals, so a lot of creatives will tell you they do their best thinking at night. But during COVID, like, it was like, holy crap, like, what are we going to do? Like, so before it's like we have a meeting with the owners or, you know, Hannah or whatever, so we would try and have like a pre-meeting where like we would get kind of on the same page and, you know, using our vast experience.
Together we have almost 40 years of experience in the business.
Yeah. And so we really, you know, even though we opened the restaurant together, that really kind of brought us really close. And we spent a lot of time talking on the phone, and I think we were really, you know, we were successful in doing, you know, these pivots. We just so happens that right at the beginning of COVID, there's all these like holidays, and so we did like Mother's Day brunch, and
his side hustle was throwing parties. Back in the day.
Yeah, I used to throw raves, whatever, I'll just say it.
Nice.
And and so we would do crazy decorations and whatever, and so...
And I've got catering background and all the other stuff, so I was like, let's
help these people throw a party at their house.
Even just the four of them, the mom, dad, two kids, or mom, dad, and a kid. It's like, how can we make an event at your house that you can celebrate, have fun, capture the moment, take a picture, share it with us, we can share it with everybody else, but like, we can make COVID not bad.
Yeah.
You know, how can we make it fun?
And I mean, here, me and Hunter, my spirits director, are stuffing pinatas for
6,000 pieces of candy.
Yeah, you know, I think we sold 150 of those. So we had 150 in like full-size pinatas. We didn't
lined up.
Yeah. All the way down.
Sombreros, shot glasses, maracas. I mean, the whole night we created a whole Cinco party for your house.
And then we did that for literally everything up through June.
So that was a side hustle to keep.
For the Crunkleton, like no,
that was for here, but that's how that's getting the cheats, and then
okay, got it.
So like, what do we open? What does Charlotte not have? You know, what's the next move for the future? What is the future of the food scene?
For us, it was I drove by the so I live over in Cotswold, so I'm driving by the Cotswold Chick-fil-A every day, and I'm like, these motherfuckers crushing it.
Yeah.
Like
line down the road.
But they've also they've pivoted their outside area like so that they can deal with all this volume. They closed the inside, which is probably great for them. They like threw up the shades and they're like, all right, cool. This is all storage now because we're about to murder it.
Yeah.
And so I'm driving by and I'm like, all right. And I also love YouTube. YouTube's like, I think me and my fiance have every single like subscription streaming service, and I only watch YouTube. I don't even care about all the fictional crap. I love watching stuff on not only restaurants and food, but I just think it's, you know, the non-fictions, like maybe I'm getting older. You know, next up is, you know, old war documentaries. But yeah, so pretty much every one of the restaurant bloggers that I follow was talking about how fast casual and fast food are just through the roof. You know, me and him are talking late, and I'm like, we've got to find and narrow down something on, you know, you look at Yafo and what's his name? He popped up like
FS,
yeah, FS popped up like 6 of those in no time because it's just approachable, delicious, the style of service,
Those waters, man.
Yeah,
all those
everything.
juices.
Yeah, the juices are so good. So we've been kind of, we always
there wasn't a good Mediterranean kind of spot like that.
Yeah, and he came in and filled a niche. So, saying like, okay, well, the Crunkleton, in all its amazingness, is extremely difficult in terms of training, in terms of procurement.
Every part of it.
Yeah, and we're up to that task. So if we're up to that task, like how much would we crush it if we did something super simple, And I called him up one night after watching this video about gyms on YouTube, gyms on South Street, and the owner's like, we slice in-house, and they even showed like the slice and stack, and I'm like, oh my God, like I don't think I've ever had a fresh meat cheesesteak. I mean, in high school when I worked at delis.
Where's that?
In Philly.
On South Street in Philly.
That's where I went, actually, this past weekend.
Yeah, the black, it's like kind of red.
Yeah,
you gotta go to Lorenzo's
awesome.
across the street and get a slice of pizza and do the South
Philly
Street
taco.
Philly taco.
But what's the point? Oh yeah. So when I was in high school, we did Phillies at the deli I worked at, but it was a puck meat steakums, and in order to give it any flavor, you douse it with Worcestershire, and pretty much every place in the city, we went around to 10 different, the top 10 best Phillies in the city, whatever that article, you guys can do it yourselves at home. And we're like really disappointed. We're like, this is all puck meat, and it's trap. I mean, they're just not great.
You're talking about here.
Yeah, in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, we're definitely going to give this a go. I remember his wife was like, I don't know what you said to Greg, but this cheesesteak thing was a total earworm. He won't stop talking about it. So we had a couple R&D sessions at his house. I mean, we did everything from A5 Wagyu, which I highly recommend not doing. Even though it was delicious.
Good, stomachs were just worked.
But so much fat, and you're just like, oh my God, we're die. But honestly, the A5 was a really great kind of learning tool, because we realized that most people, when they think of cheesesteaks, they think of these gut bomb cheesesteaks, and so that's honestly why we use top round. It's a little bit leaner.
Yeah, we tried ribeye, but I mean the shrinkage, you lose 25-30%.
And there's so much extra fat, right? So we already have enough fat from the cheese. I want people to feel great after they finish the sandwich and move on with their day, and not be like, oh my God, I don't want that. I don't want to eat that because I'm gonna pass out afterwards. But yeah, so we did some R&D sessions, and just realized that we were definitely on to something, especially with the whiz. No offense.
That's how I got it.
Yeah.
Up at gyms.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I was like, what cheese do you normally get? They're like Whiz. You have to get Whiz.
Yeah.
So this was my first time eating Philly cheesesteak in Philadelphia this past weekend.
Yeah. No shade to provolone people at all.
Yeah.
But for us, because we did mozzarella, provolone, American, white American, and Whiz.
Everything.
Just to see, right? So we had all these cheesesteaks, and we just kept coming back to the Whiz because it gets down into every nook and cranny. It's super melty. Yeah. It's already a little bit seasoned, a little bit salty.
Yeah. Keeps the sandwich molten hot.
Yeah, I mean, so on the flat tops we have, a double boiler, and it's rolling hot. So when we whiz the sandwich, it's not like we have to add heat to melt the cheese. It's already rocking. Yeah. And so then you roll it up, and then you've got this molten whiz with the super hot steak and onions, and then the bun's been steamed. I mean, it's just heaven.
Nice.
And so we just kind of felt like, man, nobody's really highlighted whiz. Nobody does a whiz, a whiz here in the city. So when we do the pop-ups, let's focus on that. Let's educate Charlotte. Let's kind of make that our thing.
Okay.
And so myself, Greg, and Hannah, our general manager here, sat down, created the brand, put together a whole pro forma, like this incredible pitch package. I had a commercial real estate agent find us a building, which is right down the street here. And we literally sat down with the partners here and just kind of slid it across the table and presented and had our fingers crossed. It was the most terrifying day because it was kind of like, don't fire us.
Flipped it over and he was like, I like it already.
Yeah.
So he was like
but I mean, like, who pitches, like the ownership of the place they work at to be like, hey, like, by the way, I know I'm doing a great job at this current thing, but I also want to do this.
I want you to finance me opening my own spot.
Yeah, please don't fire us.
Let's go.
So the original actual location was in South End, that I was eyeing, and we were kind of, it's just so popping over there. Like, you know, the late night, we're like, man, we would crush it late night. And I called him one night and I was like, man, like, we've been struggling with the brand. And I was like, these people over there, like, if you've ever been to South End during the day, like, everybody's a runner, everyone's hot.
Fit.
Yeah, like, you know, good looking. I'm like, I'm about to go over there and try and sell them, you know, cheesy, like fatty cheesesteaks. And I was like, what if we're just super honest about it? You know, let's just call the place Cheat Day.
Gotcha.
You know, this is where you go for your cheat day.
Gotcha.
And Greg's like, because he's like the king of puns. He's like, yeah, dude, we'll sell Philly cheat steaks. And the cheat steak thing just stuck with me.
Originally, it was gonna be Cahoots.
Yeah, because we were in Cahoots. But of course, there's like a top 50 world's best bar over in England that's named Cahoots. But so the brand ended up kind of coming out of just earnestly trying to say, like, hey, like, you know, I know you count your calories and probably wake up at 5 a.m. to go for a run every day, but on the day that you're willing to kind of, you know, break from that, you know, we got you.
Come see us.
Yeah, it's going to be really delicious.
So it's popped off. You know, you guys do pop-ups now. You know, you guys got a great following. I mean, people are definitely knowing who you guys are.
Yeah, I can honestly attribute that to my fiance. We're at our very first pop-up, and I give her my phone, and I'm like, listen, I have like 2 pictures on our Instagram. I need anything you can possibly get us. And
all the pictures we have are from my house.
Yes, which couldn't be better. We were drinking while we were R&D. You know, like, anyways. So I give her my phone and she puts it on the slow-mo. And Greg, just being the, you know, class clown,
doing his thing.
You know, he like gets in there and does this like slow-mo whiz, and we were like, that's it. You know, the slow-mo cheese pour has been humongous selling, because you're just watching, you're just like, oh my god, that looks so good. And it delivers. Like, you know, if the Instagram was great and all the pictures are real sexy and whatever, and then you got the sandwich and it wasn't any good, like, we wouldn't have been able to go from 0 to 10,000 almost followers in less than a year. And that's largely attributed to Greg. Like,
love that.
You know,
and our marketing team.
Yeah,
I mean the pictures. I mean, they help out a lot. I mean, and I think that the one thing that sets us apart from like a Philly cheesesteak is the mill. Like, we don't do the super thin, chopped up to beat to shit meat. Yeah. And it's great. I'm not saying it's bad, but ours is, you know, much thicker.
3 mil.
It's 3 mil. So we're the Philly norm is like 1.3 mil. We're doing 3 mil. Working to get a company to slice us 2 mil or 2.2 mil. So just, it's like eating a steak sandwich and a Philly cheesesteak. You know, so it's like it's got the pull to it. It's got some texture. So you're chewing it. It's juicy. You can get some caramelization on it. So it's.
Yeah, you have the Maillard reaction. You have you know, the steak juices.
Bigger chunks of onions. And so it's like you get a whole onion.
I love it.
It's a different sandwich. And when we originally were talking about cheats, we kind of talking about what is the next step for the food scene. What is the restaurant scene to be like later? And everybody's kind of become accustomed and trained now to Uber Eats, to Grubhub, to DoorDash. Yeah. It's just, well, I pay $1.50 and somebody brings it to me. I don't have to go out in public. I don't have to
put on pants.
Oh, yeah, I literally don't put on pants.
Yeah.
You bring it to me. I was like, well, shit, I'll pay $1.50. Yeah. And so, what are human beings going to be like in a year? You know, is it going to progress to more and more delivery and pick up?
Yeah,
you know, and smaller and smaller boxes instead of these big 300-seat, 400-seat restaurants. I mean, we went to a no-seat restaurant. It's just pick up because it's like
no front of house.
So all what you guys are doing?
Yeah. 500 square feet, all kitchen, employee bathroom.
So all tips will go to the kitchen staff. So our kitchen staff will make a serious living wage.
The idea is that the kitchen, I think the entire industry is evolving to realize that, like, a living wage is not being made by the majority of restaurant kitchen workers. And so I'm proud to say that, you know, at the Crunkleton, you know, our minimum here is, I think 17. It goes all the way up to like 20 something. And I think and that's on top of the benefits. And we have
vacations.
We have this really cool
program.
You know, program that Greg and I put together called Buy the Kitchen Around. Up north, it's really, you know, kind of more prevalent than it is in the South, but you can be like, hey, I want to buy the kitchen around, and it's usually beer. Well, taking that kind of traditional, like I want to buy the kitchen around, we take it's $15 per person that wants to buy it. And
if you ring this bell like a cowbell, just your mill service. Also, this bell just starts getting rang by some random person. Everyone's like, "Snap!" Like, well, they just bought around for the kitchen.
Yeah, so it's a way for the people that are buying it to let the kitchen know that they just bought it. But instead of giving them beer, we're giving them a cash bonus on their check. So every 10 we sold, you get $150
bonus on their paycheck. So
now every $500.
Every $500. So when they get the check, and we launched this program yesterday, but between the last pay period, we had already accumulated enough to pay the first guy their $500 bonus.
Yeah.
So like one of our guys will get just a $500 check on top of his check and be like, "Hey man, thank you for doing your job," which equates, I mean, a couple dollars an hour. So if you're making 17, that's like now you're making $22 an hour for this pay period.
Yeah, I mean, people are doing like the tip the kitchen thing, and I think that's great. I think that anything that can drive more money into the pocket of kitchen workers to have a sustainable life, and I think is extremely important. And this
on your mental stability, the way you feel and think about yourself. I mean, a lot of the guys are like, "I'm just a fucking line cook, man." They know how they treat us. We're just the guys back here that grunt through it and take the beatings.
That's not what we want.
But that's not what we want. We want you to thrive and understand like you're cared about, you're respected, you're appreciated. I mean, without you, we wouldn't be here. And now you should be compensated for it, and you should have your time off to enjoy your money, not just you're working to work or you're working to make money and you can't get time off. It's like, take a time off, take a week off, take a week off.
Yeah, I mean, the mental health in the industry is finally taking precedence. Like the industry that me and Greg came and that you came up in was the tough it out. You know what I mean?
Plate of food against your chest. Now clean that mess up.
Treat each other like shit. Like be berated, feel like shit when you wrap your shift. And now, thankfully, people have really started to crank the sympathy for having great mental health. Having a great work-life balance. Like a happy. They always say like happy wife, happy life. It's the same thing. Happy workers, happy guests, happy owners, and that's Gary's top line.
Yeah, the whole recycling.
I love that.
And if without that balance, I think that that's what kind of leads some restaurants to kind of break the levee and kind of fold. Like you can't treat people like crap anymore. We don't put up with any type of disrespectful or sexual harassment and stuff like that. And you want to have a safe work environment for people. But
I love that.
But yeah,
boys, this was awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Awesome. I mean, I feel like we could literally chat for like
we could.
hours.
Remember, I told you on the phone. I was like, my man's a talker, dude.
You want to talk?
I loved it. Appreciate you guys, Greg, Ryan. Thanks for coming and chatting with us. And if you guys have not eaten the Cheesesteaks, which I need to stop by.
You need to.
Come on Monday. We got you.
For sure. And then obviously the Crunkleton, man, absolutely phenomenal restaurant, location, bar. I mean, I'm very impressed. I mean, it sounds like there's reasons why it's become successful. There's reasons why you guys have been here for years. Staff, training, knowing the numbers, the details. This isn't just an afterthought. Everything is thought about in this business. And so I got a lot from this, to be honest with you. So appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for checking us out.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We'll see you guys in the next episode.
The restaurants you love, the food you crave, and the people that make it all happen. We tell their stories on the Paper Trails podcast with Albemarle Paper Supply.